are you making out? We are holding our own.
And those were the last words the world ever heard from Captain Ernest McSorley of the Edmund Fitzgerald. 10 minutes. Just 10 minutes. And the 729-foot steel giant, the greatest pride ever launched on the Great Lakes, the Queen of the Lakes, vanished without a trace. No Mayday, no lifeboats, no time. With her, 29 men disappeared into the freezing depths of Lake Superior. Not in the Atlantic, not in the Pacific, but in fresh water. Throughout their long history, the Great Lakes have swallowed more than 6,000 ships and claimed an estimated 30,000 lives across 2 centuries shaped by storms, steel, and ice. They have unleashed hurricane-force winds across inland horizons, raised waves powerful enough to break the backs of freighters, and turned calm summer skies into white walls of wind and snow within hours. They look like lakes. They feel familiar. They rest quietly between cities, cottages, and childhood memories. But they were inland killers, deadlier than the ocean. And today we will walk through 9 clear, undeniable reasons why the largest freshwater system on Earth can generate ocean-scale destruction. Stay with me through each one, because together they reveal a truth most people never see. And once you understand it, you will never look at these waters the same way again. Now let us begin. Reason number 1, scale. The Great Lakes are inland seas in everything but name. When we say lake, most people picture something small enough to cross in minutes, something with a visible shoreline in every direction. That image collapses the moment you look at the actual numbers. Lake Superior alone covers more than 82,000 square kilometers, larger than many entire countries. It stretches roughly 350 miles from west to east and reaches depths of over 400 meters. When you stand on its southern shore and look north, you are not looking across a pond. You are looking across open water so vast that the curvature of the earth begins to matter, and scale changes physics. On small lakes, wind crosses the surface quickly and runs out of room to build energy. On the Great Lakes, wind can blow uninterrupted for hundreds of miles. Meteorologists call this distance fetch. The longer the fetch, the more energy transfers from air to water. During strong storm systems, especially in November when cold Arctic air collides with relatively warmer lake water, that uninterrupted fetch allows waves to build rapidly, sometimes exceeding 6 to 9 meters. These are not gentle rolling swells. They are steep, closely spaced walls of water, capable of battering steel hulls. Scale also erases orientation. On vast stretches of Lakes Superior, Michigan, and Huron, you can travel far enough offshore that land disappears completely. No skyline, no trees, no reference point, just horizon. And when weather closes in, a fog forming from temperature contrasts, snow squalls triggered by lake effect systems, that horizon can vanish in minutes. A lake stops feeling like a contained space. It feels like open ocean. Then there is distance. If mechanical failure occurs on a small inland lake, Shore is usually reachable within minutes. On the Great Lakes, vessels can be tens of miles from the nearest safe harbor. Rescue response depends on Coast Guard stations that may be hours away, particularly in remote northern regions. And when storms build quickly, as they did during the Great Storm of 1913 or on November 10th, 1975, those distances become deadly. The key truth is this: salinity does not determine danger. Size does. Surface area, depth, and fetch transform freshwater into a dynamic system governed by the same physical laws as the Atlantic or Pacific. Call them lakes if you wish, but in scale, in energy, and in consequence, they behave like seas. Reason number 2. The waves themselves, steeper, shorter, and far more punishing than they appear. When people imagine dangerous water, they picture towering ocean swells rolling in from distant storms. But the Great Lakes produce something different, and in many ways, more treacherous. Ocean waves often travel hundreds or even thousands of miles from the storms that generated them. By the time they reach a vessel, they have organized into long-period swells. The spacing between crests may stretch 10 to 20 seconds apart, creating a rhythm: rise, fall, recover. A ship has time to respond. On the Great Lakes, storms are usually local or regional. The fetch is long enough to build large waves, but not long enough to allow those waves to stretch out and organize like ocean swell. The result is shorter wave periods, often 3 to 6 seconds, during strong systems. That means the crests are packed tightly together. The water does not lift and release a vessel gently. It hammers it. During the Great Storm of 1913, sustained gale force winds exceeding 70 miles per hour drove waves across Lake Huron that were not only high, but steep, closely spaced, chaotic, colliding at angles. Ships encountered what mariners call cross seas, where waves approach from multiple directions. A vessel might climb one crest only to drop immediately into a trough and be struck again before stabilizing. That rapid succession creates continuous pitching, the violent up and down motion along the bow and stern. Unlike the smoother roll of long ocean swell, pitching in short period waves is abrupt. The bow rises sharply, then slams down into the next trough, over and over. Steel flexes, rivets strain, cargo shifts. Fatigue sets in, not only in the hull, but in the crew. On November 10th, 1975, when the Edmund Fitzgerald encountered waves on Lake Superior, estimated at 7 to 10 meters, the issue was not simply height, it was structure. The closely spaced, steep waves produced relentless stress cycles against a 729-foot hull, already fighting heavy seas and wind. There was little recovery time between impacts. This is the critical distinction. Great Lakes waves are not necessarily taller than ocean waves. They are harder to handle. Their shorter wavelength and tighter spacing leave less margin for correction. For smaller vessels, even waves of 2 to 3 meters with short periods can become more destabilizing than higher, longer period ocean swell. Height alone does not define danger. Steepness and frequency do. And on these inland seas, the rhythm of the water can turn relentless in a matter of hours, faster than many crews can adapt. Reason number 3 The speed of the weather and conditions can turn violent in a matter of hours. On the open ocean, major storms often develop over long distances. They are tracked for days as they move across vast basins. Mariners have time to reroute, to prepare, to adjust. On the Great Lakes, that margin can shrink dramatically. The core driver is temperature contrast. Land heats and cools far more quickly than water. In late summer and autumn, surrounding land masses may cool rapidly, while the lakes, especially Superior, Michigan, and Huron, retain stored heat in their deep basins. When cold Arctic air masses sweep southward, they cross relatively warmer lake surfaces. That sharp contrast destabilizes the atmosphere. Pressure gradients tighten. Wind accelerates. A calm morning with light winds at 10 miles per hour can evolve into sustained winds exceeding 40 to 50 miles per hour by late afternoon when a cold front passes. In transitional seasons, like particularly October and November, these fronts move quickly across the upper Midwest, sometimes covering multiple lakes within hours. On November 10th, 1975, when the Edmund Fitzgerald encountered worsening conditions on Lake Superior, a powerful low-pressure system had intensified as it moved across the region. Wind speeds climbed, wave heights built rapidly, and what had been a navigable transit became a fight against escalating forces. The storm did not give a 48-hour warning window. It strengthened over a compressed timeline. The same dynamic fueled the Great Storm of 1913, when two pressure systems converged over the lakes between November 7th and November 10th. As Arctic air collided with warmer lake surfaces, winds intensified beyond 70 miles per hour. Snow squalls reduced visibility. Waves built relentlessly. Ships already underway had limited opportunity to retreat to safe harbor. This rapid escalation is what makes the Great Lakes uniquely dangerous. Because the system is enclosed by land, wind direction can also shift quickly as fronts pass. A change of even 20 or 30 degrees can suddenly align wind with the longest axis of a lake, dramatically increasing fetch. Wave heights can grow in just a few hours. The result is a compressed reaction window. Captains must decide early to turn back, to alter course, or to seek shelter, often before conditions appear severe. Delay by even an hour, and the lake may already be building against you. It is not merely the strength of Great Lakes storms that makes them formidable. It is their speed. The atmosphere can reorganize itself faster than crews can reposition, faster than vessels can reach harbor, and faster than instinct allows many to recognize the danger. On these inland seas, hesitation is costly. The weather does not wait. Reason number 4. The water itself, cold, deep, and unforgiving all year long. Unlike many coastal regions where surface temperatures rise dramatically in summer, the Great Lakes, and especially Lake Superior, retain cold water even when the air feels warm. Superior reaches depths of over 1,300 feet, 400 meters. That volume stores winter cold well into July and August. In early summer, surface temperatures on Lake Superior often remain in the 40s. Fahrenheit, 4 to 9 degrees Celsius. Even in late August, large portions may struggle to rise above the 50s. Fahrenheit, 10 to 15 degrees Celsius. On a sunny afternoon, the shoreline may feel inviting. The sky may be clear. The water may look calm. But beneath that surface lies cold, dense mass, capable of shutting down the human body with shocking speed. Cold water does not wait for hypothermia to become dangerous. The first threat is immediate and physiological. When a person suddenly falls into water below approximately 60 degrees Fahrenheit, 15 degrees Celsius, the body triggers what is known as cold water shock. This response occurs within the first 1 to 3 seconds of immersion. The skin temperature drops rapidly. The diaphragm contracts involuntarily. The victim gasps. If the head is underwater at that instant, water is inhaled. Heart rate and blood pressure spike simultaneously. For individuals with underlying conditions, this alone can trigger cardiac arrest. Even for healthy adults, breathing becomes rapid and uncontrolled for the first 30 to 90 seconds. Panic compounds the physiological response. This means the most dangerous moment is not 30 minutes later. It is the first minute. Following that initial shock, a second phase begins: cold incapacitation. Within approximately 5 to 10 minutes, muscle strength declines sharply in water near 50 degrees Fahrenheit, 10 degrees Celsius. Fine motor control disappears. Fingers cannot grip. Arms lose coordination. Swimming efficiency collapses. A strong swimmer in a heated pool may become functionally helpless in open cold water before hypothermia has even taken hold. Hypothermia, defined as a core body temperature dropping below 95 degrees Fahrenheit, 35 degrees Celsius, can follow within 20 to 60 minutes, depending on water temperature and body composition. But many victims never reach that timeline. They drown first. The tragedy is compounded by perception. Because the Great Lakes are inland, because beaches line their shores, many underestimate the thermal risk. A summer air temperature of 80 degrees Fahrenheit, 27 degrees Celsius, does not warm a deep lake overnight. The water column responds slowly. The danger persists even when the surface appears peaceful. History reflects this pattern. Recreational accidents, capsized small craft, unexpected falls from piers. Many occur not during extreme storms, but during fair weather outings. Calm water does not equal safe water. This is the critical truth. The Great Lakes can be lethal without towering waves or hurricane-force winds. The hazard is embedded in the temperature itself. A clear sky does not reduce the physics of heat loss. A gentle ripple does not slow the body's shock response. On these inland seas, survival is measured not in hours, but in minutes, sometimes in seconds. And that makes cold water one of the most silent and underestimated dangers of all. Next, reason number 5. Rip currents and near-shore currents. Danger hiding only yards from land. When people think of rip currents, they think of the Atlantic or the Gulf Coast. They picture warning flags and lifeguard towers on ocean beaches. What many do not realize is that the Great Lakes generate rip currents as well. And in some cases, they form just as quickly and just as violently. The physics is the same. When strong winds push water toward shore, that water must return to the lake. It does not simply disappear. It funnels back through narrow channels between sandbars or along breaks in underwater structures. That returning flow forms a concentrated current, moving away from the beach, sometimes at speeds exceeding 2 to 4 feet per second. That is faster than many recreational swimmers can sustain. On Lake Michigan in particular, studies and rescue data have shown that rip currents are responsible for a significant portion of drownings each year. These incidents often spike during late spring and summer, when air temperatures climb into the 70s and 80s Fahrenheit, but water temperatures remain much colder. Families enter the water assuming shallow inland conditions are safer than the ocean. The tragedy is proximity. Many rip current rescues occur within 10 to 50 yards of shore. Victims are visible. Bystanders can hear them. And yet the current pulls steadily outward. Panic sets in. The instinct is to swim directly back toward land, against the force of the moving water. Exhaustion follows quickly, especially in cold conditions where muscle strength is already declining. Unlike tidal rip currents along ocean coasts, Great Lakes rip currents are often wind-driven and can intensify rapidly when wave heights increase above 3 to 5 feet. A strong onshore wind in the afternoon can transform a beach that appeared safe in the morning. The shift does not require a named storm. It requires wind alignment and sustained wave energy. Breakwalls and piers can make conditions worse. Water piles up on one side and escapes around the structure, creating powerful structural currents. Some of the deadliest incidents have occurred near piers where individuals entered the water to cool off, unaware of the hydraulic forces building beside them. The critical misconception is this: land is visible, therefore safety must be near. But distance is not the only measure of danger. Hydrodynamics do not weaken simply because you can see the shoreline. On the Great Lakes, a swimmer can be only a few yards from dry sand and still be in a current strong enough to overpower them in under a minute. Near shore does not mean safe shore. Reason number 6. Dense fog and sudden loss of visibility. Disorientation that arrives without warning. On the Great Lakes, danger does not always announce itself with towering waves or roaring wind. Sometimes it arrives silently, drifting low across the water until the horizon simply disappears. Fog on the Great Lakes forms quickly because of temperature contrast. When warm, moist air moves over colder lake water, especially in late spring and early summer, the air cools rapidly from below. The moisture condenses. Within minutes, a gray wall can develop across open water. Lake Superior, with surface temperatures often in the 40s and 50s Fahrenheit well into June, is particularly prone to this phenomenon. A mild 70 degrees Fahrenheit afternoon can create ideal conditions for sudden advection fog. Visibility can drop from miles to less than 100 yards, sometimes to only a few meters. Landmarks vanish. Shorelines blur. Even large vessels fade into silence beyond the mist. Unlike storms, fog does not generate dramatic radar signatures for the human eye. To a small craft operator, it can feel like someone has turned off the world. Sound becomes distorted, direction becomes uncertain. A boat engine heard to the left may in fact be ahead. Distance is nearly impossible to judge. Historically, this loss of orientation has led to collisions and groundings across the lakes. Before modern radar and GPS became widespread in the late 20th century, vessels relied heavily on visual navigation, compass bearings, and shoreline recognition. In thick fog, those references disappear. A freighter traveling at even 10 to 15 knots covers a mile in just 4 to 6 minutes. Without visual confirmation, the margin for correction narrows rapidly. Shallow shoals and rocky reefs compound the risk. The Great Lakes contain thousands of miles of irregular shoreline, hidden bars, and abrupt depth changes. In fog, a captain may believe he is maintaining safe distance offshore, only to discover too late that currents or wind have shifted his position. By the time breakers are heard, the hull may already be in danger. Fog also amplifies traffic risk. The Great Lakes remain major commercial corridors, with bulk carriers exceeding 700 feet in length navigating confined roads. In restricted visibility, vessels depend on radar, AIS, and horn signals, but small recreational boats may lack equivalent equipment. A quiet fishing boat can become nearly invisible in dense fog, while a massive freighter cannot stop quickly enough to compensate. The key danger is speed of disorientation. Fog can form within an hour and erase every visual reference a mariner depends upon. There is no gradual adaptation. One moment, the horizon exists. The next, it does not. On inland seas of this scale, losing sight of the world means losing your frame of reference. And that loss can happen far faster than most people expect. Reason number 7, the shoreline is not always shelter. In moments of crisis, instinct drives vessels toward land. When waves build and wind intensifies, the natural assumption is simple. Reach the shore and you reach safety. On the Great Lakes, that assumption has proven fatal more than once. The geography of these lakes is not uniformly gentle. While sandy beaches do exist, thousands of miles of shoreline are lined with rocky reefs, submerged shoals, jagged outcrops, and steep cliffs. Lake Superior alone contains vast stretches of exposed rock along its northern and eastern shores. Beneath the surface, hidden bars and abrupt depth changes create unpredictable underwater terrain. When waves move from deep water into shallower coastal zones, physics shifts dramatically. As depth decreases, wave energy compresses. The wavelength shortens. The height increases. The wave steepens. What may have been a manageable 6-foot swell offshore can transform into a breaking wall of water as it encounters a shoal or reef. The base of the wave slows against the bottom while the crest continues forward, causing it to pitch violently and collapse. This process is known as wave shoaling, and it amplifies danger precisely where vessels are attempting to escape. Historical records across the Great Lakes show numerous groundings and wrecks occurring within sight of land. During the Great Storm of 1913, multiple ships were driven onto the shores of Lake Huron as captains attempted to reach perceived safety. Instead of refuge, they encountered breaking surf that battered hulls against rock and sand, until structural failure followed. Near-shore waters also concentrate wave energy through reflection. When large waves strike vertical rock faces or harbor walls, energy rebounds outward. Intersecting wave trains create chaotic conditions, confused seas that are often more violent than the open lake behind them. Landing itself can become a high-risk maneuver. A vessel attempting to run bow first onto a beach may broach sideways when struck by breaking surf. Smaller craft are especially vulnerable. A 3 to 5 foot breaking wave hitting broadside in shallow water can roll a boat in seconds. The misconception is visual. Land represents stability. Trees do not move. Cliffs do not shift. But water interacting with fixed terrain becomes turbulent and forceful. The energy has nowhere to dissipate but upward and outward. On an inland sea of this scale, the shoreline is not automatically a refuge. It is a boundary zone where wave energy intensifies and underwater hazards multiply. Seeing land does not mean escape is secured. In some cases, the most dangerous water lies not miles offshore, but in the final 100 yards before reaching it. Over the past few minutes, we've walked through 7 powerful physical and environmental forces: scale, waves, weather, cold water, currents, and fog, each one rooted in physics, measurable, observable, undeniable. But danger on the Great Lakes is not shaped by nature alone. The final 2 reasons are quieter, more subtle, and perhaps even more important, because they begin in the human mind. So stay with me, and let's continue together to uncover what those 3 reasons are and why they may be the most dangerous of all. Reason number 8. Massive commercial traffic. The Great Lakes are unlike any other lakes. They are not defined by white sails, peaceful fishing boats, or family pontoons drifting lazily under a summer sky. They form one of the most active freshwater shipping corridors in the world, a network that has powered North American industry since the late 19th century. By the early 1900s, steel production in cities like Cleveland, Detroit, and Gary depended on iron ore moving across Lake Superior from Minnesota's Mesabi Range. That system never disappeared. It evolved. Today, the vessels known as Lakers routinely stretch over 300 meters in length, some reaching 1,000 feet, 305 meters, from bow to stern. When fully loaded with iron ore, coal, limestone, or grain, they can displace more than 60,000 tons. These are not recreational boats. They are moving industrial structures. And scale creates momentum. A fully loaded 1,000-foot freighter traveling at a modest 12 to 15 knots carries enormous kinetic energy. Even with engines reversed, stopping distance can extend for 1 to 2 miles, depending on load and conditions. That means a small craft crossing ahead cannot expect a rapid maneuver. Physics does not allow it. Wake adds another layer of risk. As these vessels move through confined channels, such as the St. Mary's River, the Detroit River, or narrow harbor approaches, they displace massive volumes of water. The resulting wake can roll outward in steep, powerful waves, capable of capsizing smaller boats or destabilizing paddlecraft near shore. The suction effect along the hull can also create strong localized currents. Traffic density compounds the danger. During peak shipping season, typically April through late November, hundreds of commercial transits occur weekly across interconnected lakes. Unlike the open ocean, these ships operate within relatively confined corridors, shared with fishing boats, charter vessels, ferries, and private craft. Visibility limitations, especially during fog or heavy precipitation, increase collision risk. While large freighters rely on radar, AIS tracking systems, and regulated shipping lanes, not every small vessel carries equivalent equipment. A kayak or small fishing boat may be nearly invisible against wave clutter on radar screens. History provides stark reminders. Collisions and near misses have occurred when smaller vessels underestimated the speed and limited maneuverability of bulk carriers. The assumption that it's just a lake can lead to fatal miscalculations. This is the crucial point. The Great Lakes may appear inland and contained, but they function as industrial arteries. Steel, grain, and energy move across them daily in quantities measured in millions of tons. These waters carry not only wind and waves, but freight and momentum. It is a lake in geography, but in practice, it is a working sea. The final reason, and perhaps the most dangerous of all, the psychological illusion of safety. My dear friends, the final factor is not found on a weather chart or nautical map. It exists in perception, and it begins with a simple phrase: it's just a lake. The word itself softens the mind. A lake feels contained, predictable, smaller than an ocean. There are no tides rising and falling twice a day. There is no crashing surf against coral reefs. There is no salt spray in the air. The water does not smell like the sea. And that subtle difference changes behavior. On coastal oceans, even casual visitors recognize risk. Warning flags fly. Lifeguards scan the surf. Boats file float plans. But on the Great Lakes, surrounded by cities, highways, cottages, and marinas, the setting feels domestic, familiar. People grow up beside these waters. They fish, swim, paddle, and commute across them. Familiarity lowers guard. Psychologists call this normalization of risk. When individuals are repeatedly exposed to a hazard without immediate consequence, they subconsciously downgrade the perceived danger. If someone has taken a boat out 20 times in fair weather and returned safely, the 21st outing feels routine, even if forecast conditions are marginal. History reveals this pattern repeatedly. In November 1975, when the Edmund Fitzgerald departed Superior, Wisconsin, the crew had navigated Lake Superior many times before. Storms were not uncommon in late autumn, yet escalation can outpace expectation. In 1913, multiple captains sailed into what initially appeared to be a strong but manageable system, unaware that two pressure systems would merge and intensify beyond forecasts available at the time. Even recreational tragedies reflect this dynamic. Swimmers enter water on an 80-degree day, assuming comfort because air is warm. Boaters delay turning back because shoreline remains visible. Kayakers venture beyond protective coves because the lake surface appears calm in the morning. The absence of tides contributes to this illusion. Many associate tidal fluctuation with power. Without it, the water feels static. But wind-driven systems on enclosed basins can displace massive volumes of water just as effectively, only without the visual drama of tidal charts. The freshwater environment reinforces the misconception. No salt crust on skin, no ocean swell stretching to the horizon. Instead, sandy beaches that resemble inland parks. But the physics does not change because the setting feels familiar. Cold water shock does not soften for residents. short-period waves do not adjust for experience. A 1,000-foot freighter cannot stop faster because a kayaker believes the water is smaller. This psychological layer does not create danger on its own. It magnifies every other factor. When scale is underestimated, vessels travel farther from safe harbor. When waves are underestimated, operators maintain speed too long. When cold water is underestimated, life jackets are left behind. When fog is underestimated, navigation equipment is ignored. The Great Lakes are powerful, not only because of what they are, but because of what people assume they are not. The ocean announces itself with vastness and salt. The Great Lakes whisper with familiarity. And sometimes, that whisper is the most deceptive force of all. Today, we've walked through the full picture, from the vast scale of these inland seas to their steep, short-period waves, to storms that intensified in hours in 1913 and 1975, to water cold enough to disable the body in minutes, to rip currents forming just yards from shore, to dense fog that can erase the horizon, to 1,000-foot freighters that cannot stop in time, and finally to the quiet, psychological illusion that makes all of it easier to underestimate. The Great Lakes do not need salt to be powerful. They do not need tides to be deadly. Their history, more than 6,000 ships lost and an estimated 30,000 lives over 2 centuries, speaks clearly enough. If this story changed the way you see these waters, I invite you to stay connected. If you found value here, consider liking, sharing, and following for future releases. It truly helps this work reach others who care about maritime history and safety. And if you have a personal story about a lighthouse, a storm, or an experience on the Great Lakes, we would love to hear it. Share it in the comments and become part of this conversation. Thank you for watching all the way through. I'll see you in the next video.